So this is my next project, a carving vise, well, I should say a carving vise stand, meaning I want to do more carving going forward, similar to the hippo and the owl from before, and in order to do that I need to have a good stand set up. So obviously you need something to prevent racking and that's nice and solid, so I decided to try some 4x4s from Home Depot. And they were a bit wet, so what I did was I took the blowtorch and just ran the blowtorch across, and all the dark lines end up being the softwood in the tree, and then the actual lighter tan colored lines, and that light really reflects bad, the actually lighter lines are the harder grain pieces. So that worked really good. And then I decided, okay, I want to make sure it's nice and solid, so I wanted to try a timber frame joint. So the joints are made up of these type of pieces, and we'll see if I can actually do this. So this is these 4 pieces here for all of the vertical posts. So this would be the vertical post, and then you can see one is under, one is over. So the under piece, and we'll see if I can get this with one hand. The under piece goes in like that. The other piece goes down over and locks in like that. And then just by itself, if you get the tolerances close, obviously this is a test cut, the tolerances are not that great. Some of them are much better friction fits. And yeah, that works. And then I did, let's see, where's a good spot to show that? I guess this corner, if the glare's not too bad. I did 1/2 inch wooden dowels. I drilled down through to about here, and those were friction fit and down in. And then for the side pieces to lock all the sides in, I did 3/8 inch dowels going this way, and again they extend to about here, and then the other direction, so that they're not overlapping, or rather so that they go past one another, and again these go over to about there. It's extremely solid. I mean, it only moves as a unit, which is what the goal was. And plus the burned, or the lightly toasted outsides with the torch end up making it look really cool. And then I just put a couple coats of just brush-on polyurethane on it to help seal it some. I think that's going to work really good. For a top, I'll see if I can zoom out enough to see it. Rockler was having a sale on their T-Track top, so I have that. I think I'm also gonna put, well, I think I might have that flip up and down and have a harder, more sturdy top, either inset in this or just on top, and have that as a flip down on top of that, because that way I don't have to drill holes in the T-Track top to put my carving vise in. But that's still, maybe I'll end up doing that. I have to figure that out. The other thing I need to do is I want to have drop down wheels on this, similar to my other bench, so I need to get that sorted out and figured out too. I think I have all the parts. I just have to figure out the exact configuration, because I want to do it slightly different than the last one, probably with a lever action on the front to raise and lower the wheels. But I want to not, if I can, I want to have it not stick way out the side, on the sides. Just have just a single lever that you see that one direction the wheels are down, the other direction it's up, and if I have it lined up with the posts or the bottom, that should keep the lever out of the way. So, but yeah, it ends up, I don't know if it's going to show up on video. I think it will, but that ends up being really pretty with the burned texture or colors, or however you want to say it. This light is not great, but yeah, it ends up looking really nice. So that's the first part. we will see how that goes for the next part once I get the next piece sorted out. Alright, so I got the bottom frame put on. Got some 2x6s down in and screwed on. I got the wheels on both sides with hinges. Next, I'm going to put this up across so that it moves. So that will be the next section. I got to get that attached. I made more progress. I now have not only the wheel pieces on, but I have the side pieces that come into the center and a lever that comes up, and I have, it's a little bit hard to see, let's see if I can get in there, it kind of shows, a cord coming down that wraps up on there. So basically inside there is a piece of 1/2 inch internal diameter water pipe with a 90-degree bend going through the 2x6, and then on the inside I have 2 pieces of, I think it's oak, bolted to the sides through the pipe, one on each side. You can't really see, but there's a nut on one side, and then I have pieces of rubber under that. I have a piece of nylon cord that was extra out of a comforter bag. The handles from a comforter bag I just kept because they seemed like good rope, wrapped around there, and then a piece of wood to make it a little bit wider, and then some a piece of old leather and hose clamps. The leather is to keep the cord from running into the hose clamps, and that just comes up through, goes through under a piece of angle for a shelf that I folded over with a piece of rubber under that to hold that down. That holds it nice and tight. Initially, well, I have hinge here and here and there off of doors, and one underneath this off of a door with the screws loose so it can rattle and move, because if you tighten that completely tight, it locks it up and does not move at all. So that's not good. Originally I was going, the reason this has bolts and that side has long screws is I was originally going to have this part slide, but that ended up sliding as well as moving too much, so I just tightened that down and loosened the center. And the cool thing is, and I haven't tried this, but it should work. Here's how easy it goes up. So the wheels are up right now, and so it does not move. But if you put a piece of plastic clothes hanger under it, and plastic clothes hanger is not that strong, you can see that was able to push down, and not only that, but it actually stays on its own, which is kind of cool. So that shows you how little, that just the tension of this by itself is enough to hold that down. But now, when you pull it, it moves, which is awesome. So the mechanical advantage is very high with the combination of that lever and this pulling straight down, leveraging around that tube. That's actually high enough that the friction for this actually holds this down, which is cool. So that means that eventually I'm going to have thick walls and everything else on here, so I definitely have to beef this up some for a holder or a retention clip when it's down, or when it's up on the wheel, so it doesn't spring back. And I'll show another piece of video for that. But yeah, so when this is down and the wheels are down, this actually slides back in so it's out of the way. So next I have to make a little holder to keep this end of the pipe up off the ground when it's not in use, and probably, since there's an opening there, I don't want spiders in it, so I'll close up that end of the pipe and the other end of the pipe as well. And yeah, and then I just have to, I'll probably put since I put polyurethane on the rest of the stand, I'll probably, before I get it all sorted, put polyurethane on all these surfaces, especially the part that's going to touch the floor at the bottom of the 2x6s. And I might, just to strengthen it, I might also put some screws, I think you can see up under there, some screws up through to hold this tight, because there is some slight tension when this rotates, so I don't want to stress the 2x6. I don't think it'll need it, but since I have it upside down, once I get a little bit further to finish that, it shouldn't be that hard to put some screws in. But yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, it pulls out of the way. It's very easy to turn. It creaks and groans, but it stays. So I actually put a piece of aluminum, since I did not want, this is a hardwood and this is just regular 2x6s, but I didn't want this to have a problem. So it was getting slightly dented by the original pressure on here. So this is just a piece of aluminum that used to be part of a heatsink out of a computer I had taken apart way back when. So that works perfect for that, and it also gives it a nice smooth surface for the wood to slide on, so that's less friction there. And I put a piece of sheet metal off some scrap sheet metal. I cut that out and put that on, because on the bottom side of this, which you can't see, is the metal for the hinge. So these bolts are some of the highest stressed. They were starting to crunch down into this board. On the bottom they push against the hinge, but on this side they were scrunching down in. So now with this piece of sheet metal, that won't be a problem. And yeah, this is awesome. Again, it's going to have very thick sides. I bought some bowling alley floor used, and I'm going to use those for the sides to help add weight, because since this is going to be a carving bench, I want to have it lots of weight, hold it down on the cement. So I'm going to put those on this side, the back, and then this side, and then probably put shelves and a drawer in here. Shelves and or drawers in here for stuff, and then put top on the Rockler T-Track top. So yep, that's the latest progress, but this is awesome, and I'm so glad it worked. This is a combination of a bunch of videos. I mean, I did not follow anyone's plans, but I watched a bunch of videos to remember some of the basic physics and how people did this. And Carl Holmgren, I'll put, when I get to the posting this, I'll try and put his a link to his channel on the video. He has a lot of really cool videos. His actually has a step down thing rather than a turning, but he has a lot of really cool drop down wheel stands that I watched several times. So I will share those. But yeah, this is awesome, and it works, so very happy about that. And so next part of the video hopefully will be the sides. I'll get towards the sides, or maybe these retention clamps, like I said, because I do need to come up with that, but that should be retention clamps, of how to hold those up should be far simpler than this was. So thanks, be back in a bit. Alright, it's a little longer than a bit, but I made more progress. As you can see down here, which I don't remember if I had before, the little catch piece holds this just fine. This other piece, when it's done, is just fine. I also now have the sides and back on, and some of the little extra bits of bowling alley floor I cut to fit in there to again add more weight. Let's see here, get down in. So on the sides, my friend Steve, before he moved, gave me a big desk that was made out of 1-inch thick melamine and some wheels. So the wheels are what I ended up using for this cart, so thanks, Steve. And I also used the 1-inch melamine for the insides. You can see I have pocket holed that in. The slanted piece is just sitting there in case I need to have an extra spot for a shelf. I'm not sure if I'm putting a shelf or a drawer in. But if I need some extra spot in between those two thicker verticals, I can move that around and stick it in place. The top is again 1-inch thick melamine underneath, in this case held up with 2 Simpson strong tie pieces. And then on the outside, if this rolls, there's the bowling alley floor. Again, it's flush, so on this side it covers the whole side, and if I can move it, it covers most of the back other than a nice handle. The white melamine, I don't know if you can see in there, yeah, I think you can, does come the whole way up, but that piece wasn't wide enough. I could always add another piece in there, but it's kind of nice to have a little spot. And then on the other side, oh yeah, the wheels are a little squeaky, but then again, this thing weighs hundreds of pounds. On this side, there's actually 3 pieces. A bottom piece from there to here, a smaller piece from here to there, and then another piece from there up. And again, there's a little gap. But that's fine. Again, it's pretty much flush. And then what I have for top is one of the Rockler T-Track tabletops, and it's not attached yet, but the goal is to screw up through the melamine and put this in place. I'm not 100% sure if I want to have it on tilt hinges, so the top will actually tilt, and then with posts, kind of like an architect desk. I'm not sure if I want to have it do that or if I just want to have it screwed down. So for now it's just sitting there, but that's fine. But the cool thing is it works, and it actually will fit between my previous bench, the flip-top bench that I made, and my other bench. So let me pause here for a second, and I will put that in place, and then we'll see what it looks like where it's supposed to go. Alright, now it is in place, and the wheels are down. So you can see the lever flips to the right and goes in and just lays right on there. And the cool thing is, it goes under there. Even with the wheels up, it just barely slides under the bench. And I'm not sure, what I have to figure out is, you can see this tabletop still moves, but I'm trying to figure out, there you can see that part, but I'm trying to figure out if I want it the whole way back, which will give me less of a lip, but it would actually give me a clamping lip the whole way around if I had it out, which might be nice. So I might end up doing it that way. If I just screw it down, I might end up doing that, because then if I ever move it out, I actually have a small clamping lip the whole way around, is in addition to the T-Tracks. But in any case, this is a much better solution than the previous piece. The previous piece was just a free table that someone was throwing out. This actually moves. That did not. This has a lot more space underneath. That one was not so good. This is definitely solid. It does not want to move, which is good. That was the goal. I did notice when I was trying to slide it back in that depending on, because the wheels are inside instead of out at the edges like I originally had hoped to put them, they're actually inside a little bit. It does, the wheels get caught, it does want to tip, so I'll just have to be careful if and when I move it. But normally I'm not going to be moving this, so that should be fine. But yeah, this is how far I got on it. And that's where it's going to go. So if anybody has questions, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, other than figuring out if I want to put drawers or shelves or that kind of thing in, this one's done.